Hello, welcome back to The Journey Home with Gina. Very happy to have you joining me, where I talk about how to have a happier, more fulfilling life, which is all about coming home to yourself. In the United States, we are often conditioned to believe that our happiness exists in things outside of ourselves. So, for example, having an education from the best schools is going to make you happier, going to give you more opportunities in life, which will bring joy to you. You can be led to believe that having a really big salary is going to bring joy into your life. Getting married to a really good looking person is going to bring happiness and fulfillment. And to all kinds of other things, having the fancy car, having that $3,000 Gucci bag. We think that having these external things makes us happy. The reality is that those things outside of us do not bring us ultimate fulfillment. I'm sure you know people who are really well educated or very wealthy or very powerful, very well connected, and yet it doesn't guarantee that they are happy in life. They might look like they've got a lot of going for them. It doesn't mean they're actually happy in life. I know people who have all the right things, went to all the right schools, they're still not happy. They still have insecurities. They still get kept up at night thinking about things. So those things outside of us are not what makes us happy. What truly makes us happy is your internal state. How you feel about you is where your true joy and fulfillment in life comes from. So I want to talk today about the self-love journey. Awareness is the key to having a successful self-love journey. And I want to tell you about my initial experience with self-love and how simply by paying attention to myself, I found much greater happiness and fulfillment in my life. So it started very innocently and in a small way. And then that little small thing grew into other things in my life. I wasn't intentionally looking for self-love when I started this. I just sort of happened upon it by accident. And it started by accident in my bathroom. Now, don't worry, this is not a weird private bathroom story. It's very innocent and G-rated, I promise you. So it started innocently enough. One day I had decided I really need to clean my bathroom. And what led up to this was that for several months, every time I walked into my bathroom, I was observing that my clear glass sliding shower door was, grimy. It builds up soap scum if you don't keep on top of the cleaning. And in this case, I was not keeping on top of the cleaning. So every time I walked into my bathroom, which is multiple times a day, I saw this grungy sliding shower door, and I would say to myself, ugh, I still haven't cleaned that? What's wrong with me? Why am I not doing this? Oh, it looks gross. I was engaging in negative self-talk multiple times a day, to myself, of course, about my shower door. So one weekend, when my kids were away, I decided not only am I going to clean the shower door, I'm going to clean the entire bathroom. Like just everything in the bathroom is getting cleaned. And I even, vacuumed out the exhaust fan, took out that little glass shield. There were a couple of bugs in there, so I vacuumed them out, dusted the baseboards, cleaned the dust on the floor behind the toilet, everything. And my bathroom looked fabulous, gorgeous. So the next morning, when I woke up and went into the bathroom, of course, forgetting that I had cleaned it really, really beautifully the day before, I walk into the bathroom and notice not only the clear glass shower door, but everything is just like sparkling. And I had this magical moment where it was like, imagine entering the pearly gates of heaven and you hear that angel song, oh, and I felt light on my feet And I was super happy, which was great. Good job. I cleaned my bathroom and I'm really happy that I did that. Good job. But the thing that was so profound is that later in the day, I noticed that all day I kept thinking back to how clean my bathroom was and how amazing I felt. Great for me that I was happy that I cleaned my bathroom, but it wasn't like I had won the lottery. It was just a clean bathroom, which should be an ordinary everyday thing in theory, right? Why was I having this enormous glee with the fact that I cleaned my bathroom so beautifully? And I acknowledged, I'm like, my response to this is over the top. It's disproportionate to how it should be given what I did. So I was honest with myself when I sat down there and thought about, why am I so happy? What I came to understand was that it wasn't that my bathroom was finally clean. That's not what made me so happy. What made me so happy is that I walked into my bathroom and there was this silence. There was no negative self-talk. That is what made me so happy, right? And I was like, okay, great, I figured it out. But I also thought, wow, I'm really pathetic. I'm so hard on myself all the time that the lack of negative self-talk made me ecstatic. And I thought, gosh, I really need to not live this way. So, and then I also understood in that moment, I have power over how I talk to myself, right? For months, I had been bad-mouthing myself. And when I took care of that thing that I had been bad-mouthing myself about, the negative talk, at least for a time, went silent on that issue. So I have control here. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I could quiet this voice when I choose to. At least in some ways. I'm not saying I can quiet every negative thought that I ever have about myself, but on that specific issue, I had control over what I say to myself when I walk in my bathroom. This is power. So I decided I'm going to keep my bathroom spotlessly clean from now on. And I did. And I did this for about 6 months, ballpark, before I noticed again, wow. Well, okay, first what started to happen is that my self-talk eventually turned positive. I started complimenting myself. Instead of, well, I'm a lousy housekeeper, nanner, 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 I started saying, good job, Gina. You're keeping this bathroom clean for 6 months now. Woohoo. So I changed, at least in this specific area of my life, I changed my self-talk from negative to neutral for a while to eventually being positive. Like, wow, what a great discovery this was. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this in other areas of my life because I'm liking this. I started keeping my car really clean, the kitchen sink somewhat much cleaner, and I started doing other nice things for myself. I bought a shoe rack for my closet. Boy, did I like having my shoes, organized, and I can see the pair of shoes I want instead of fishing around the closet floor for my shoes and to find the match to a pair. I started organizing my sock and underwear drawer. Woohoo! Like, these were little things that I was doing, but boy, did they make me happy. And again, there was this positive response, like, wow, I'm really doing all this nice stuff for myself. And I'm complimenting myself instead of nanner, nanner, nanner. So this was a great, great discovery. I eventually bought artwork and towels that color coordinated with the artwork. I brought in a scented oil that made the bathroom smell really nice. I didn't know that I like walking into my bathroom, having it smell spa-like. So, with all of these things that I started doing for myself, I noticed again several months later, I feel loved and pampered. And it's not someone else providing, all this loving and pampering. I was taking good care of me. I felt loved and valued and appreciated. And I was doing that for myself. I don't need other people to show me that I am lovable and valuable. I can provide that myself. It's great to have other people that show you that you are lovable and valued and appreciated and all of that, but it doesn't have to come from outside of you. You can provide that for yourself. I didn't know that. I had never done that for myself before. So again, there was a great, great discovery here. And the last big thing that happened was, so at the time, throughout this year or so of all of these things evolving through my bathroom, all three of my kids would use my bathroom. They have their own bathroom, but they would use my bathroom fairly regularly. Two of them were showering in my bathroom rather than in their bathroom. And they were young teenagers, but teenagers, they would use my bathroom and they were messing it up. They would cut their hair and not clean up the hair. They would clip their toenails and not clean up the toenails. I was working really hard at giving myself this beautiful gift of taking good care of myself. And my kids were making a mess in my bathroom that I ended up having to clean. And it was starting to upset me. I was resenting my children making a mess in my bathroom. Now, because they have their own bathroom, I decided that I wanted to lovingly and respectfully kick them out of my bathroom. And it took me about 6 months to work up the courage to set that boundary. But I explained to them, hey, I'm doing this nice thing for myself. I really want to keep my bathroom nice and clean and make the bathroom mine. And I would really love for you guys to use your own bathroom, please, rather than using mine. So you can shower in your bathroom, you can clip your toenails in your bathroom, and let them worry about cleaning up their own bathroom. So I learned a lot about myself and about self-love through the simple act of observing myself in my bathroom. By paying attention to what I like and what I don't like, and providing myself more of what I do like, and taking the situations that I don't like and making them work for me and for my kids. They live in my household. We have to have an environment at home that is loving to everybody, but I made it work for all of us. I learned how to pay attention to my own preferences. I learned how to control, to some extent, my internal talk to myself by making conscious choices that felt good to me. I can quiet that negativity and eventually turn it into good positivity. And I learned how to start setting boundaries. That's something that I wasn't very good at before. All of these things I learned from just being aware of myself. It was a simple act of noticing, why was I so happy when I cleaned my bathroom? And then learning from my own reactions and responses, taking positive, loving action, that I really turned my life around. And as I was saying, I think I said earlier, I took these actions and broadened them into other areas of my life. It was not just the bathroom that changed my life, but the lessons that I learned through observing myself in my bathroom ended up having a profound impact on my life, how I feel about myself, how I treat myself, and how fulfilled I feel today. So I hope that you find some inspiration in this topic and that you can start paying attention to yourself. Notice what you like. How can I give myself more of that? Notice what you don't like. How can I adjust things and make this better for me? And through doing those things, you might be very surprised at the profound effect that you can eventually have on your level of joy and fulfillment. So thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Take care.